Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Chris from WheelsUpNetwork.com, and I have the wonderful Sam from Connection Tours with us today. Just before I pass it off to her, I just want to remind everybody that we are giving out a $100 MasterCard gift card courtesy of Connection Tours. So one winner on today's webinar will get that. For you to qualify for this, you must stay on till the very end. So for you to qualify for that draw. Also, if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to type it in your control panel. There will be a chat box at the very bottom, and we will answer them after Sam's presentation. All right, Sam?
All right, thanks so much, Chris. And thanks for Travel Weekly for having me do this webinar. I'm really excited to be discussing what's coming up with the Battlefield Tours. We've got some really important years ahead of us. So this webinar is kind of like a call out to the travel agency, some urgency for you all, so that you know, hey, heads up, these important events are on our doorstep. The next 3 years are going to be really big for Canadian military history. So in this webinar, I want to introduce our company, the Battlefield Tours. It is a product of Connection Custom Travel. So I want to talk a little bit about us. I want to talk about those important events coming up in the next 3 years. And lastly, I want to talk about some unique opportunities that are available for the travel industry to hone in on these really important events for Canadians. So let's get started. Just to let you know, this webinar is going to be really visual, more visual than anything. So I'll try my best to go along about descriptions about each picture. All the pictures you'll see in this webinar are from our actual tours. So this first picture we see here is taken by a traveler named Mary Pylan, and it was taken a couple years back. That guy in the middle there is our director, Ian Cowan, and he's taking a small group kind of off the beaten track. So this is at the battlefields of Vimy Ridge, just a little heads up there. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the very important events coming up in the next 3 years that I think the Canadians in particular really should have on their radar. First of all, very, very soon will be the 75th anniversary of the Dieppe raid, and there will be big commemorative events for the Canadians who were involved in the raid at Dieppe in 1942 in the Second World War. So there'll be big events in August in the United Kingdom and France. Most importantly for Canadians is the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Passchendaele. So this is a First World War commemoration, and the town of Passchendaele in Belgium are preparing some incredible ceremonies. Every year for the anniversary of Passchendaele, they walk down this beautiful avenue called Canada Land with candles, all of the locals from this town, to give thanks to the Canadians who marched down that road. And so for 2017, we'll be there to commemorate that event with Justin Trudeau, who has volunteered to lead the procession with these candles. So some really big events this year happening. If we move on, however, into 2018, it's the 100th anniversary of the end of the First World War. So throughout 2018 will be a really big year in general, but the crescendo of the 4 years of centennial events we've been working on will indeed be November 2018, where we recognize the 100th remembrance on November 11 on the 11th hour. So we have big events happening in the UK, in France along the Somme battlefields, and of course in Belgium in Flanders Field. So that will be really, really big event in 2018. But again, 2018 as a whole, there's a lot of really exciting things coming to commemorate the 100th event. Lastly, the most important, I think, is 2019. In June 2019, we have the 75th anniversary of D-Day. And the Normandy beaches, storming the Normandy beaches. And I think the 100th is a really, really important time to commemorate, of course, because 100 years gives us a lot of time to understand the events for the Second World War. What we have to remember about those anniversaries right now is these are probably the last years that the veterans who were involved in those battles will be present at those events. A 75th anniversary, if we're really, really lucky and genetics are on our side, maybe they'll last to the 80th anniversary. But right now, to commemorate the Second World War on the battlefields where the veterans of our country fought are going to be the highlights of the anniversaries in the next couple of years. So those are some of just a lot of other commemorative events that are happening in the 3 years that agents should be preparing for. Not only do we have all these huge events coming up in the next 3 years, but there's also been a growing demand in ancestry, in researching our family heritage, and also especially with battlefield history. As a matter of fact, this is kind of funny. I didn't know if I would put this in the presentation or not, but if you go to Canada Statistics and you look at web searches in Canada, the top 2 most searched categories in Canada online research is ancestry and pornography. So that should give you a really good idea of just how much families in Canada are really starting to look into their ancestral history and where their families came from. Huge popularity in that. Now, if we focus on the numbers for the First World War and Second World War, this is from Veteran Affairs, these numbers, but you have about 650,000 Canadians who were directly involved with the First World War and about 1 million in the second. You have 68,000 people, more or less, Canadians who perished in the First World War and an additional 47,000 who perished in the second. So today, if we look at those numbers, that means that there's about 6 million Canadian families who have a direct relation to Canada's war history, to the First World War, Second World War. They have a direct relative who has fought in either of those battles. Now, that's just fighting. That doesn't account for the medical staff, any families who had doctors or nurses involved in the battlefields, those family members who decided to fight for the British Expeditionary Force instead of the Canadian one. We're talking about volunteers, families who fought on the Western Front, but also on the home front, helping with different things that needed to be done in those significant years. So there's a lot of contribution. A lot of Canadians across our country have a direct link to these historic events. Lastly, I brought up students here. There's a growing demand in student interest in the battlefield tours. And this isn't just those families who have a relation or even know if they have a relation. Specifically, I want to talk about a new video game that came out last year. It's called Battlefield, and it's a really well done, award-winning video game that focuses on the battlefields of the First World War. Since that video came out, my brother-in-law came over to my house, all of a sudden thoroughly interested in the battlefields and wanted all the books he could grab about what the battlefields look like because this video game is so historically accurate. So there is a growing interest, not just in the ancestry or the numbers of Canadians directly involved, but also in students just learning about this history for the first time. So a lot of exciting stuff going on that will just grow that interest in battlefield tours. Now, I talked a little bit about the demand of Canadians searching for their battlefield ancestry and history, but also the other side of the coin is in Belgium, France, Holland, Europe, the Western Front, all these countries. They have a growing support to welcome Canadians over to the battlefields. I don't know if a lot of Canadians know this, but undoubtedly, if you look through any historical records, they will say that the Canadians and the Australians, more so than any other country, had the greatest contribution in the First and Second World War. And it's true, the Germans would say, the Canadians, make sure you locate where they are at all times, make sure you know where they are. And at the end of the First World War, just towards the end, the Canadians capture a German on the battlefield. And the German is supposed to have said, what are you doing here? We thought you were 20 kilometers south. And it was one of those moments where it's put in the history record saying the Germans were following the Canadians very closely. They wanted to know where the Canadians were at all points. So again, Canada had this huge contribution to the war effort, and countries around the world still celebrate that and welcome that. So of course, the biggest example I could give you is Vimy Ridge. Vimy Ridge is a beautiful memorial that the Canadians put up in France to remember this historic moment. But you also have the liberation of Holland, for example, which is one of my favorite examples. The people of Dutch thank Canada so much and love Canada so much that this picture on the side will show this is a Dutch police officer who flagged down our coach to come on board and thank all of our Canadians. And he was carrying a Canadian flag because of the fact that the Canadians liberated Holland in the Second World War in 1945. So these are huge things for Canadians, huge draws for Canadians to come to these countries to be thanked and see all of the efforts that these countries have been putting into welcoming and thanking Canadians. Flags everywhere, wherever you go. For example, the Maple Leaf City in Italy is a city where they very much welcome and thank Canadians for their efforts in Italy. Of course, in Belgium, the Canadians are loved because of John McCrae and his poem In Flanders Fields about the iconic poppy that the world can thank as a symbol for the First World War. So Canadians had a huge contribution, as I mentioned, and Belgium, France, the UK, Holland, all these countries are doing so much in these years to welcome specifically Australians and Canadians. So they've been preparing over the past couple of years to make sure that Canadians are welcome and that they understand how well loved our history is in these countries. Another big reason why Belgium, France, and Holland and the UK, these countries are specifically preparing for Canadians to come and Australians to come to these events is because the battlefields that we explore are still so scarred. Now, the series of images I'm going to show you here are all areas that we explore on our battlefield tours, but what you'll notice is that I'm only showing you images of the First World War. So these are present day images of scarring in France and Belgium from First World War battles. And it goes to show that even after 100 years, these areas are still so badly scarred and maimed, and it had so that even today, 100 years later, these countries are so thankful and for the contributions that were paid, but also they still have a very real memory of what happened because these battlefields are still around today to explore. This first image I'm showing you is the Battle of the Somme. It's taken in close to Beaumont-Hamel Memorial Park. This is specifically where the Newfoundlanders went over the top in July 1916 at the beginning of the Battle of the Somme. This is an aerial image, beautiful picture taken by a gentleman by the name of Mr. Shiel, and you can go to Western Front Photography to see more of his images. But this is basically his aerial shot from the ground. So I took this summer when I was at Beaumont-Hamel. This is the beginning of the German trench lines. So it's all open today. Travelers can come and explore these sites in depth in a really hands-on environment. And you can see that even if you just left a battlefield completely alone, it's still pretty scarred after 100 years. This is another beautiful image taken by Mr. Shiel. And it's another area that we explore on our tours. It's the Lac Nagar crater, still in the Somme battlefield area. So this was one of the very first mines that went off on July 1st, 1916. And it was so massive an explosion that there was a guy in an airplane flying above the explosion, and the blast was so strong that it kind of hit his airplane out of the sky. So this is an area that has been preserved by the Friends of Lac Nagar Crater, and we do visit this area on our tours as well. This is a liberation photo. This was taken during the Thank You Canada parade in Holland in, I believe this is the 70th anniversary. So every 5 years, Canadians are welcomed back to Holland for this Thank You Canada parade, where on the streets of Holland, they have this huge celebration for Canadians. They dress up in all the 1940s clothes, as you can see there, and they recreate the liberation of Holland. They recreate the Canadians coming in. So this is one of those extra activities where, you know, so you can see how much a country does specifically for Canadians and also for Australians. But this is just one of the many parades that are held in May every 5 years. So now that you've seen some pictures of the scarring, you've seen some of the events that these destinations are preparing for the coming years, I want to talk about the Battlefield Tour specifically and what we do for travel agents. So it's important to note that the Battlefield Tours is a tour operation that works only for travel agents. We are a 100% wholesale operation. So we work as a direct conduit for travel agents and travel agents alone. Specifically for the Canadian travel industry, we organize a bunch of different things. And I know at first the battlefields, when you get a request, whether it's just a private family who wants to trace their family's footsteps, or it's a larger group tour, it can seem really intimidating at first, but there are options for you to customize a package for your clients that they're really going to enjoy, and that's really going to show you how easy it is and how exciting it is to set up a battlefield experience. So a number of things we do. First off, we do custom group tour programs for your agency. A number of travel agents already do that. They set up their own tour program to sell at group rates. And we can organize a custom tour like that that is completely branded under your name. So we do have a couple agents already that do that maybe every couple of years, or for centenary events, create a program just for them and sell it as a group tour. But we also have special commemorative events tours that you can join as well. So these are tours that we set up with Veteran Affairs Canada to be a part of these super large commemorative events or dignitary organizations, bringing them to a Veteran Affairs or an event held by the municipality of a town, and being there for a specific time or event that a battle took place. So this can be a really special moment for some, but these tours are very particular in terms of security and guest lists. So it's great to have a helping hand if you do want to bring travelers to a specific commemorative event. Third on our docket is friends and family, small custom private tours. So if you do have a small family, it could be any size. I mean, last year we did two men who wanted to do a private self drive around the areas that they were interested in. So we can organize things like that for you as well, where you have a driver who also acts as your guide, escorting you to the sites as you wish. We also do fully independent travel, self-drive itineraries. These are for travelers who are independent, know how to drive, are comfortable with the destinations they're traveling to, and we can provide them with their own self-drive kit that shows them where to go next, what history there is in that destination, and connect them with communities along the way too. So there's always someone to talk to, always someone to meet along the way on those self-drives. They can be really fun and a lot more flexible for your travelers as well. Now, lastly, I've got our public group tour programs. These are programs you can find on our website. I'm just going to take you to our website real quickly here. This is our website, thebattlefieldtours.com. You can see here, all of our tours are listed here. These are all of our public programs. So very shortly, we'll have our 2018 tour programs on here for the First World War Remembrance. So watch out for that. all of these tour programs here are available to the public, but we do all of these tours through our host agency in Ontario, DH Tour. So the public can organize through that, or they can organize through you. So if you have a client who sees one of our group package battlefield tours on our website, absolutely, they can join this tour and we can organize it through you with built-in commission. So a big point there, all of our tours on our battlefield tours site have built-in commission for Canadian travel agents. And that brings us to more support for the Canadian travel agents. So just to give you a little idea of what else we can do apart from those 5 main products that we offer. So a big benefit to you is that we are a wholesale tour operation. We do not work with the public. We always needed travel agent as a conduit to work through. And for us, that's a great benefit because it means we get the support of the travel agents, whereas we can focus on the destination and our suppliers and providing you with direct rates at a net rate that's really, truly competitive for you. There's no middleman in our operations. I myself am an operator with the Battlefield Tours, and I find myself in France and Belgium and working in Europe about 6 months out of the year, sometimes more. So you know that your operators have a direct connection with the European suppliers we work with. All of our itineraries are branded, so you just throw us your logo, and we can put it on any itineraries. If you want us to throw out marketing material for you, or put your own web page together about a specific tour that you're promoting, everything can be branded so that it's under your name. As I mentioned before, built-in commission on all our public programs. So if you're ever looking at the Battlefield Tours webpage, which you can see right here, all of those tour programs have built-in commission starting at 10%. So if you sell any of those tours to any of your clients, you will be provided with a 10% built-in commission for that. However, we also provide net versus commission incentive programs for our travel agents. So for you, this means if you're building a custom tour with us, you choose. We can either give it to you as a net price, or we can build a commission in there for you. When I talk about commission incentive, that really is focusing on the relationship we have with you. So we base your commission structure off of the volume you're bringing to us. And that could be anywhere between 10 and 25% commission. Again, depending on the relationship we have with you, that is open to negotiation for any of the products that you see on our website. Again, branded marketing material, of course, but we also provide branded and custom map kits and these info booklets for you. So 30 days prior to your client's travel, you would be provided with this map kit here. You can see in this corner. As you can see, this is a tier 1 map kit, so they've got their logo on the map kit. But you can provide this as online, so it's downloaded to your phone or iPad or tablet, or you can provide printed booklets for your travelers. But as you can see, this booklet, as you go through, gives you an intro letter from our team, a helpful guide for yourself, but some background information on the sites you're going to, an itinerary overview, where you're going to be picked up, where you're dropped off, who your tour guide is, your hotels, all this really good stuff in here for your client to review and understand and prepare well ahead of your tour. So you've even got in this one a map kit explaining all the different battlefield sites they're going to see. So gives you a good idea of what kind of marketing material we provide. Lastly, we support travel agents by providing you with on-site presentations or information destination clinics. So whether you're organizing a tour with us, or if you just want to do an information session, let us know, and we would be happy to send one of our operators, either myself, our director, or one of our other battlefield guides, to come in, visit your office, and discuss with you or your clients a battlefield topic. Specifically, we know that the battlefield tours and military history is very sensitive material. It's material that we have to respect, and we have to have a really good understanding and knowledge of these places if we're ever going to have an impact on the travelers that we're working with. So this is just another way that we offer that added benefit, that added bonus of providing you or your travelers with all the information you need to start a battlefield tour. We do offer familiarization trips. We partner directly with the tourist boards of France, Flanders. Visit Britain is our biggest partner, has been our partner for a good, 18 years now. So these familiarization trips we offer every year, complimentary to qualifying travel agents to come on the battlefields and explore or learn more in a hands-on environment about the products that they're selling. And speaking of those partnerships with travel agents, those direct resources are really going to help you. We work directly with the tourist boards, meaning that we can provide resources to you in print or online, any heads up about specific events or opportunities that there are for you on the battlefields. So that's I'm almost done with my presentation here for you. Just wanted to give you an idea of who the Battlefield Tours is and some unique opportunities along the road. So this was a makeshift collage that I did of some pictures of us on tour. Battlefield Tours has been a product in Canada since 1986. So our product has been around since 1986. We've changed hands a couple times over those, almost 30 years. We are now hosted by DH Tour, the travel agency in Burlington, for our public programs. However, we are offering all of our wholesale stuff through Connection Custom Travel. So all of this is still the same staff, the same team since 1986. We've been working with the same countries, and that provided us with some really exciting opportunities. So in this collage here, you've got some great pictures of our team. Here's a great one of some of our local guides who will do self-drive programs for your clients. Here's one of our host head guides from Manitoba, Canada, and Glenn Edmonds. He's been on tour. He does maybe one tour a year with us for a repeat battlefield community. You've also got some pictures of me checking out with our veterans, talking with our veterans in Holland, and a great picture of our coach right there in the middle. Lastly, unique opportunities for you. So when you're on tour with the Battlefield Tours, it doesn't have to be heavy military. There's so many exciting things that you can do to make it more of a well-rounded trip for your travelers. One of the coolest things that I think we're doing this year and next year is the London Tour Bus. So this is a double-decker bus from the London Blitz that has been preserved. We're the only travel company right now that are offering these tours. Evan and Evans used to for a really long time and stopped. We're trying to get them to do it again. But we are the only operator right now that will offer these London bus tours. And we will take you on this London bus Blitz tour, so you can see London from a World War II viewpoint. In Portsmouth, see this picture right over here. You can see this is the Mary Rose. These are the shipwreck in Portsmouth. So it's just another one of those stops we made along our journey. It was one of my favorite experiences that wasn't military history, was seeing the shipwreck at the historic docks of Portsmouth. And of course, a lot of our battlefield tours start in London and continue through Portsmouth, taking the ferry across so you can arrive on the beaches of Normandy in the same way that our forefathers did. Okay, moving along. This is just a sample of some of the private venues we use and the hotels we use. It's a beautiful one in the Shetlands. Yes, it's up in the Shetlands, up in Scotland, but there is a military history as well, and we've got some fantastic opportunities for some unique hotel accommodations there. And again, this room up here, this is also in England, is a private dining hall that we had for one of our group evening meals. So just some exciting stuff that we can do along the way. Another really great example is private talks that we do. This one is also in Portsmouth. This is with the curator of the D-Day Museum, who's actually been with the D-Day Museum in Portsmouth since he was little, since he was about 12 years old. So he had some fascinating insight. It's just another exceptional feature along our tours. Another example of things that we do is we will take you back to a site to show you the before and after footage. So this is of Dieppe. I will be taking 58 travelers in August for the Dieppe 75th commemoration, showing them the exact same spots that these famous historical pictures were taken in. Student groups and choir groups, we do a lot. So this is a private event we were able to hold at Vimy Ridge just before the Vimy 100 event. So it was for a school board out in Alberta and in Canada, and we were able to hire Vimy out privately for our group to have their own commemoration there, which was really exciting. Lastly, another just one of my favorite experiences on tour was taking the veterans who helped liberate Holland back to the Hague Palace in Den Haag in Holland. This is closed to the public, but our group was allowed in to actually dine with the royal family. This was taken two years ago in 2015. On top of that amazing experience we got to have, we actually had a private dinner in our hotel. And this picture right in the middle, this is the ambassador of Canada in Holland. He made a surprise visit to our private dinner and gave medals to all of the families in the room that were related to the liberation of Holland. So it's just another way that we really can make this experience go above and beyond for Canadian travelers. This is at the Menin Gate for the First World War Remembrance in November 11th, 2018. This is where the big ceremonies will be held. So I urge you as a travel agent, if you do have travelers that are interested in the First World War events of the 100th anniversary, to book ahead, to contact us ahead of time and organize this, because this will be a huge event at the Menin Gate. Again, this is the place where they first did the 2-minute silence in 1927. So a really important spot for Canadians. Some really big events coming up. I'm just going to mention this one right here, the Coming World Remember Me. In the year 2018, there's a project in Europe where they're carving these sculptures, these 600,000 clay sculptures, and each one is going to mark a life lost in the Belgian theater, in Flanders Field in the Great War. In 2018, any of our travelers that go to Ypres, where the Flanders Fields Museum is, will go to the Menin Gate and look across a field and see all 600,000 of these clay sculptures staring back at them. So 2018 will be a really big year, but that's just one example of all these amazing projects that are going on in France and Belgium to commemorate the 100 years. So it gives me goosebumps just talking about it. But that's it. That's me. I'm all done. That's everything I wanted to provide in this very brief presentation about what you can do in the battlefield. If you're interested in finding more, there's a couple of websites that you can check out. First of all, the battlefieldtours.com. In the next coming weeks, there's going to be an update to that website for the First World War 2018 program. So we're going to be offering more than one program at that time. Feel free to contact me directly if you have a custom group in mind, or if you have something even smaller, like a couple travelers calling in that want to do kind of a custom 2-day thing after spending some time in Paris. The opportunities are really endless in that regard. So feel free to reach out, feel free to explore, contact us if you have any questions. Again, we're a product of Connection Custom Travel, so you can find out about more of our wholesale operation there, and more so about our product at thebattlefieldtours.com. And that's it.
All right, thanks Sam for the presentation. I do have some questions that came in. If any of the other agents online do have any questions, please feel free to type them in and we'll get them to Sam. So the first question is, are you able to provide a custom private tour for Canadians whose grandfather was in the British Army during World War I?
Yes, we work directly with the Imperial War Museums of Britain. And we also have done the same for Australians as well. So, you know, that's the big thing about the Canadian military history, is that there really is more so a link not just to the Canadian side of events, but the British side of events. So it is very often that we have these custom travelers that are independent, doing their own thing, but really want to focus on their ancestral history and want to follow the timeline of someone who was involved with the British Expeditionary Forces or things like that. So it is easy to customize, but there is detail that is required to make sure that they're following a program that speaks to what their grandfather went through.
All right. Next question is, when will the 2019 75th anniversary tours be released?
Oh yes, that's a big one. That's the big one. We're hoping really soon. I'm hoping to have, I know it might be optimistic of me, but we're hoping to have all of our 2018 and 2019 programs set and ready to go by the end of this summer. Now that for the 75th anniversary of Normandy, it depends very much on the British government, because some huge grants have been provided to museums that we work with. In Portsmouth specifically, they're doing a lot for the 75th anniversary, and the D-Day Museum was given, oh goodness, a $1 million grant from the British government to get the museum completely renovated for the 75th event. So we're just waiting to hear back from these museums to let us know, when are you open, when are you ready for business, so that we can start designing and developing tours throughout 2019, not just for the 75th ceremony.
All right. Next question is, what medical conditions should we know about when speaking to clients?
Sorry, what was that, Chris?
Medical considerations.
What medical considerations? Oh, okay. Like you mean in terms of the health and fitness level required?
I would assume that also probably about insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So because we customize programs individually, we do try to speak to those disabilities. So we have had travelers in wheelchairs and things like that, where we can rent a wheelchair and have them come along. Having said that, though, that doesn't mean that they're capable of doing everything. We're still talking about Europe. There are still stairs. For example, at the Passchendaele Museum, they finally put an elevator in, which is fantastic. But to a lot of these sites, there are stairs. On the battlefield specifically, like in this picture at Pointe du Hoc, you can see there's rubble everywhere, but there are still pathways to get in and out. So you can get a wheelchair through some areas of that battlefield. In terms, but we do like to let people know that there is a bit of walking on the tour program. If you have sore hips or bad knees or something, just let us know ahead of time so that we can accommodate those issues. In terms of insurance requirements, if you are over 60, you do need that medical questionnaire. It is mandatory to have medical travel insurance on all of our tour programs, and we do ask for proof of that before the tour actually begins. So your older travelers will have to fill out that medical questionnaire, and they will have to get insurance that speaks to their medical requirements.
Okay. The next question that we have is, I believe this agent was in the Flanders Fields Museum, and created a clay sculpture. They are wondering, what date next year are they placing these at a gate?
Yes, so that's what I was just talking about. I'll go back to this slide really quickly so that you can see what she made. Or he, I don't know. But this is it right here, the Coming World Remember Me. It's one of my favorite projects. I'm so happy that she made one of those sculptures, because they actually don't have enough yet. Their goal is to get 600,000 by the beginning of 2018, but it really kind of depends on how many sculptures they have at that point. So they say at the start of 2018, like right away, they will probably start putting those sculptures down in the field overlooking Menin Gate. They said to us to prepare for around April, May of 2018, where it'll really have an impact on people to go out to the Menin Gate, look out over that field and see all those clay sculptures. And the reason why, by the way, that's such an emotional moment for so many people is because the Menin Gate, I mean, it wasn't a gate in 100 years ago in the First World War. It was a street, but that street led to the Flanders Fields, to Ypres battlefields. So any soldier who is involved in Belgium passed through that gate. So if you have a family member who is related to the First World War and is Canadian, 100% they walk down the same street that you're walking through. And when you walk down that gate in 2018 and you look at the field on the other side, you'll see all of those faces staring back at you. So we're hoping April that it'll start having an impact.
All right. Next question is, what is the group size for the public tours?
Now, that kind of depends on the interest of the tour. We try to keep a group minimums at 15 people, so really, really small, but they can go up to 30, 40, 50 people even. So we have one coach, we have been with the same coach company for, since the beginning, for a good 20, 23 years. And they offer all sorts of different types of coaches. So we have one coach that's a double decker that'll seat up to 90. But so it really kind of depends on how many people we have signing up on that program, but I don't think we would do anything less than 15 on our public programs.
And just a question.
Having said that, though, sorry to interrupt, but we did have an Italian program that left last year that only had 8 people on it. So it really kind of depends.
So for a customized tour, what's the minimum?
1 to 100.
Okay.
Again, last year we had only two guys who wanted to do a full battlefield tour for the Remembrance Day ceremonies, but wanted it all private. So actually our tour director, got one of our small cars and did a private drive for them the whole time. So obviously there's a cost factor involved. So if you have private travelers that are like 1 or 2 that want to do a custom tour and they want a private driver guide throughout that program, you need to let them know that there is an additional cost acquired for your guide's expenses. So the larger your customized group, if you can get it even up to 8 people, it will save you a lot on those costs.
Great. Next question we have, is what bus or what size buses do you use for the different tours?
Yeah, so again, we have a big fleet, all different sorts of vehicles that we'll use, anything to a Sprinter for our smaller groups to our 50 packs coaches. So these are executive coaches. We always use the same company we have for 20 years. It's got a washroom involved on board, DVD equipment, microphone, and we also offer tea, coffee, water, and beer and wine. It kind of depends on the agency, what they would like to have on the coach, but we do have those facilities in place if needed.
Okay. Next question is, are meals included with the tour price?
Yes, so we include breakfast and dinners. So we'll have group dinners and breakfast, of course, is included. But for our custom programs, and we're starting to introduce something that one of our clients already does for his travelers, where we'll have it maybe 1 or 2 nights where dinners are on your own so that you can explore the area on your own. but on those days we would include a lunch instead. So if you look at all of our programs right now, they all offer breakfast and dinner. We use local suppliers for all of our meals, so we are customizing the meals as well to get a group meal that works for everyone. So that's how we do our meals.
All right. Any other last minute questions from any of the agents? No. All right. Just a question from me. What is the commission rate that you guys offer to agents?
So right now our standard rate is 10%, and then it works on a scale after that. So depending on the number of travelers that you're bringing in, so depending on your group volume, the commission structure can be anywhere between 10% to 25%. Now, if you want to go the opposite way and you just have a traveler and it's a lot of work and you don't want to do anything for them. So you just want to do, like, you want to refer them to us, but you don't want to do their air or their insurance. You want us to organize everything. We can still offer 5% as a referral fee in that regard. So there are a lot of flexible options in terms of how commission structure works. And also you can do net. If you just want our net pricing and you want to put your own markup on there, go for it. It's really up to what works best for you.
All right. I believe that's all the questions that we have. Is there a booking engine or a call in?
Yeah, so you can call that direct line will get you in touch with me. We do have a custom form that you can type out what you're looking for if you're looking for a custom group. However, we do have an agent form and an agent section on our website. So let me just see here if I can go back to this page. Right up here, registration form for our travel agents. So there is a web page. It's thebattlefieldtours.com/ I think it's agent registry. Let me just check here. And you can go on there and you can fill out a form for your clients if they're signing up for a public tour or if they want to do a custom tour program. You can fill that out. I'll be able to email you with the direct link if you'd like. But otherwise, it's always best to give me a call or throw me an email and we can get started from there.
Great. And the last question we have is, how do we register as ourselves?
Sorry, you cut out there.
So how do the agents register themselves?
So we do have a e-blast that we send out once a month as an update to all agents. So if you would like to sign up for that, you certainly can shoot me an email and I'll throw you on that list. And that's just for agents across Canada, Battlefield information about what's going on, sample itineraries and new products we have. So that's sent out monthly. And it's the same e-blast we send out for fam trips. So if you're interested in anything like that, let me know and I can add you to our e-list. Apart from that, if a travel agent actually wants to, come on a program or organize an information clinic, for example, our tour director is actually flying out next week to provide a community presentation in Prince Edward Island. So those types of things can be organized. You just have to let us know. Otherwise, we can always add you to our e-list and keep you updated monthly.
All right. So just a reminder to all the agents, I will be sending out a follow-up email tomorrow with the winner for the $100 Visa gift card's name in it. So please make sure you look out for that. I will also provide Sam's contact information in that email as well as the recording to this webinar. All right, awesome. Thanks, Sam, for a great presentation again.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me. Thanks, everyone, for joining and listening in. I hope it's prepared everyone for the requests and the couple of years we have ahead of us.
All right, bye, everybody. Have a great day.
All right, thank you.